So some of you have not been with us, and sorry for that, but I'll give you a little refresh on what we were able to accomplish for the past few days. Krishna in Vrindavan, specifically Krishna in his childhood pastimes in Vrindavan, that was chapter 11. And chapter 11 had 3 parts. It was just the playfulness of the cowherd boys, playing, and little boys play. They were playing in the forest of Vrindavan. And then part 2 was Aghasura. Were you able to find that reference, Paramakruna?
Yes, that was the reference that I mentioned yesterday. I'm yet to do the translation.
Okay. So there was a question that came up during the discussion about Aghasura, for those of you that weren't with us, and even those of you that were with us. Where is she? Where's our birthday girl? Oh, there she is. Right in the front row. Perfect. She wanted to know the calf demon, what was the plan of the calf demon to kill Krishna? Right? And the answer was, we struck out. There's nothing. There was some reference, we had just for edification, because we spent a bunch of time, and then even this morning, some more time, about there's a short reference in Garga Samhita. So our discussion was, is Garga Samhita a valid reference or not? And there's disagreement. Garga Samhita, for your information, little research from this morning, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one book makes 7 references in Navadvip Dham Mahatmya, where Navadvip Dham Mahatmya makes reference to something about Krishna's pastimes in relation to Navadvip, and some references made to Garga Samhita. One author in one book, and then I have a word search facility for all of our predecessor acharyas, and guess what? Not one reference from all of the other acharyas about Garga Samhita. Zip. Except there's one purport in Brihat Bhagavatamrita that just mentions, along with a listing of other texts, Garga Samhita, and otherwise zip. So you can be with this camp or that camp as you like. But in Garga Samhita, there's mention of Aghasura kicked Krishna from behind. Doesn't mean that was how you kick someone behind. That's how you killed them. In any case, that's the only reference. That's the only reference. But there's a Ananda Vrindavan Champu Hindi version that doesn't show in any of the 6 English translations of Ananda Vrindavan Champu. And now you're going to tell us what it says there, without translation, just like a rough summary. This is in answer to your question.
Hare Krishna. So one of the Hindi translations by Sri Vanamali Das Shastri Ji says that doesn't say how he planned to kill Krishna, but the understanding is that he planned to kidnap all the cowherd boys. And the intention, or what is written, is to hara means to kidnap, and also to mention that he wanted to, when a kid tries to appear as a friend and then kidnaps. So like that, he appeared as one of the cowherd, the calves, and then wanted to kidnap. That was one. And also like to lay a trap, like elephant hunter digs a hole, but on top covers it with very plush green grass, so that the hole in which you would trap the one you'd want to capture walks into it easily. So these were the 2 points mentioned. So from all of these 3 points, that to kidnap everyone and then these 2 things, it appeared that the intention was to kidnap all the cowherd boys, but not anything more than that.
Look what you started. This little girl was running around and coming up with nothing in her hand. Because like Lord Brahma put the calves and cowherd boys in a cave. Not Krishna, but calves and cowherd boys. But he didn't kill them. So it doesn't answer your question. It's a mystery. Now, in between, we also discussed something about Sanatana Goswami, and there was another homework assignment. And then we also struck out with that one. The homework assignment was originally the deity of Sanatana Goswami was Madan Gopal. There's some history of how Madan Gopal came into his care. But Madan Gopal came into his care because Madan Gopal wanted to be worshipped by Sanatana Goswami, and so this Brahmin from Mathura, Chobe, in his dream, Madan Gopal wanted to be worshipped by Sanatana Goswami, and so it's several steps, and he ended up being worshipped by Sanatana Goswami. And then after some time, the deity became known as Madan Mohan. So the question was, how did that happen? What was the circumstance and why? That question came up. We struck out. The detail, this is just for those of you that weren't with us. So some highlights of unanswered questions. There was a circumstance whereby Madan Gopal appeared before a merchant captain, in charge of a merchant ship, and his boat got stuck on a sandbar near Vrindavan, going up the Jamuna, heading for Agra as his marketplace. And when he came to the shore, there was a little boy, was Madan Gopal. And Madan Gopal, who appeared as a little boy, a cowherd boy, said to the captain, "There's a sage up on top of the hill. Ask him, he may be able to give you a blessing so your ship can become freed from the sandbar." This is some history that we discussed. So Chobe, the captain went up the hill. He saw Sanatana Goswami and asked Sanatana Goswami what to do. The little boy said, "You could help." And he said, "The only thing I know is you offer some prayer to Madan Gopal, and you may have a solution." So he went back to his ship, and sure enough, big thunderstorm, so much rain, the ship lifted from the sandbar. And he was able to go to Agra and sold all of his wares. It was salt. So he was a salt merchant. So he gave some salt to Madan Gopal because he wanted some salt for his chapatis. The salt merchant said, "Thank you very, very much. I'd like to reciprocate. I made a very large profit. I'd like to make a donation." He said, "I don't need anything, but if you like, you can build the temple for my deity, Madan Gopal." So he did. Very tall temple on top of a big hill. It's a landmark in Vrindavan still. And when the temple was built, word went amongst the Vaishnava Sangha, and the king of Orissa sent his son with deities of Radha for both Govindaji and Madan Mohan. Two Radhas. In the course of his travel, he had a dream. The dream, both Radhas appeared and said, no, one of us is Radha, the other one is Lalita, and we should go by the side of Madan Mohan, Madan Gopal. So that's what happened. And from that day, according to the histories, Obi-Al Kapoor and other histories, from that day forward, the deity was no longer known as Madan Gopal, but Madan Mohan. It doesn't answer the question, why the switcheroo? But that's the chronology of when it happened. And so I asked Dinabandhu. Dinabandhu asked, very polite, very sweet, and with laughter and all that. He didn't know. And if Dinabandhu doesn't know, you can ask the moon. Maybe the moon will know. And another devotee asked Burijan Prabhu's wife. Some of you may know Burijan Prabhu's wife. She's a lover of Vrindavan, and if anybody knows, like Vrindavan, it's either this side of the hand or that side of the hand. And she didn't know. So the answer to that question is we don't know. What was the cause of this two different names? So to this day, even Sanatana Goswami refers to the Madan Gopal mantra given to Gopakumar, is in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Madan Gopal mantra. Or sometimes Gopal mantra, but Madan Gopal mantra. And it's non-different than, it's one of our Gayatri mantras. And it's not different than Madan Mohan, the entryway into the Sambandha Gyan teachings of the Vedas and teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So the answer to that question is nobody. The most learned persons in Braja that I know don't know. So there may be somebody that knows. But if those two don't know, then I kind of not going to search anymore. So that was the Vatsasura part 2 of our 3-part chapter 11. And then yesterday we heard Bakasura. Baka, the crane, and how that all happened. And that the killing of Vatsasura and Bakasura happened. So yesterday we ended when the cowherd boys went back and told their parents, "Hey, guess what happened today?" They were astonished. The parents, the elders, were astonished, like completely astonished. And Mother Yashoda was contemplating. We shifted from Gokul, from Mahavan, over here to Vrindavan to get away from the demons that were harassing. But over here, they're harassing again, too, just today. What to do? What to do? What is the plan of providence? According to Ananda Vrindavan Champu, Krishna read his mother's mind. She didn't say. He's curled up in her lap, little Gopal, little Krishna. And he said, "Mother, these are just stories. don't worry, nothing happened. And he covering her with the Yogamaya potency, she forgot everything, at least for the moment. But this is the change of mood. So we had some nice discussion on the Sunday program. We'll have some further discussion on the movements of Yogamaya and the relationship between Yogamaya and Leela Shakti. I won't do the Sunday feast class today. You'll hear as we go along today and the next few days, a lot of reference from our acharyas. They make regular reference to Leela Shakti. And in ISKCON, we're accustomed to hearing Yogamaya. So that's our Sunday topic. What's the relationship between Leela Shakti and Yogamaya? So now we're ready for chapter 12, which follows chapter 11. And the age of Krishna is 4 years, 4 months. Repeatedly, our acharyas use that chronology. With one exception, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this pastime was when Krishna was 5. And it marks the distinction between when Krishna was taking care of calves, which was from chapter 11, and when Krishna starts taking care of the cows, which happens in chapter 13. So in chapter 12, he's still with the calves. He's 4 years, 4 months. And they encounter another demon. But before they encounter another demon, they do what cowherd boys like to do. They like to play. You would make a great cowherd boy. You love to play. Do you dream sometimes about becoming a cowherd boy? No. Should I ask you what you dream of? I better not ask you. Okay. Someday you'll dream of becoming something in relation to Krishna, I'm sure. So we're going to start with a little philosophy. And a little philosophy has to do with hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But the backdoor way of asking, they're highlighting the importance of hearing topics about Krishna. What's the methods can one factually know what existed before we existed? What existed before you existed? The answer is Bhagavad Gita chapter 10. Krishna says nobody knows. And why is it? Because it existed before you existed, so you can't know. This is a Tattva Sandarbha lesson about why Srimad Bhagavatam is so important. So Jiva Goswami explains those that understand the process of knowledge accept that there are 3 standard procedures. One is direct sense perception, another is logic and inference, and a third is hearing from authority. So by perception, by the senses, you can't examine what existed before you existed, because it existed before you existed. You can't examine it. By logic and inference, you can say perhaps maybe, but it's imperfect, and someone will come along that can supersede your logic and inference and come up with a better idea, and so it's unstable and imperfect and not the way to understand what existed before you existed. So the way to understand what existed before you existed, chapter 10 Bhagavad Gita, is from that which existed before you existed is disclosed. Shabda, by sound, like the Vedas, is sound. So one can know through the Vedas. But not just any sound, aparushaya shabda, pramana, evidence that from the perfect source, that not a fallible source, like a human source, but beyond human source, aparusheya shabda. So Krishna's answer to that question, which he raises at the beginning of chapter 10, let's say the verse together. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matak sarvam pravartate itimat vabhajante mam bodha bhava samanvita. So I like this verse very much. Krishna does a checkmate. He goes forward and then backwards. Forward. I am the source of everything. Aham sarvasya, commentary says, matter and spirit, whatever that exists, matter and spirit. Prabhava, Krishna is the source of emanation. Then reverse. Everything comes from me. Of course, it's saying the same thing, but it's just a checkmate. Matak sarvam pravartate. Iti matva, thus knowing. Bhajante mam, you engage in devotional service. What else can you do? You're from that which is the source of everything. You engage in activities in relation to the source of everything, because that's what comes from the source of everything does. Buddha, one becomes intelligent. Bhava, one experiences transcendental ecstasy. They worship me with all their hearts. Samanvita. I'm the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me, the wise, who perfectly know this, engage in my devotional service, and worship me with all their hearts. And very similar idea also from Bhagavad Gita. The way of knowing Krishna is through the Vedas. It's that sound vibration. Let's say together. Vedaishta sayurvair aham eva vejo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. By the Vedas, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta. That's his expansion. The compiler of Vedanta was Vyasadeva, his empowered incarnation. And I'm the knower of the Vedas. It's a Bhagavad Gita lesson to help us get ready for the importance of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, reasons that Krishna comes, he also presents in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. We all know the verse. Let's say the verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya chaduskatam dharma sangstapanartaya sambhavami yuge. So he gives these three reasons or purposes of his appearing. The sadhus, to protect them. The duskritis, to vinash, to diminish their influence. Dharma sangstha, to reestablish dharma. Sambhavami yuge yuge, from age to age, from time to time. Prabhupada's English is millennium after millennium. So those three reasons. Deliver the pious, annihilate miscreants, reestablish principles of dharma. Shrajam yaham. Shrajamihim. He makes himself appear. Sambhavami yuge yuge. Now, there's other reasons. And a philosophical foundation for the other reasons besides those three stated in Bhagavad Gita. This is one of the characteristics of Krishna. Chapter 21, Bhagavad Gita. We know there's how many qualities of Krishna? I mean, unlimited, but 64 principal qualities. And amongst those 64 principal qualities, one of them is clever. A person who can perform various types of work at once. Not multitasking. But one activity, many things simultaneously are accomplished. The example is given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. One of the gopis said, "My dear friends, just see the clever activities of Sri Krishna. He has composed nice songs about the cowherd boys and is pleasing the cows. By the movements of his eyes, he is pleasing the gopis. And at the same time, he is fighting with demons like Aghasura. In this way, he is sitting with different living entities in different ways, and he is thoroughly enjoying the situation." Clever. One activity, many things simultaneously are accomplished. So one of those many things that Krishna wants to accomplish for his appearance in this world is a very important one, and it's very important to understand it. And that is, he wants to reciprocate loving exchanges with his devotees. So we had some discussion yesterday. We can repeat it again today. The childhood pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, because Krishna is the source of everything, they exist within Krishna, but they're not manifest in Goloka Vrindavan. They're manifest in Boma Vrindavan. In Goloka Vrindavan, does Krishna have a mother and father? Yes. Is there a birth pastime? No. And so forth. Those childhood pastimes are Krishna engaging with his eternal associates. This becomes important in the Brahma Vimohan Leela. The cowherd boys are eternal associates. The gopis are eternal associates. Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, they're eternal associates. You can't become Mother Yasoda. Sorry, Charlie, it's already occupied. But you can become an assistant and serve Mother Yasoda. You can become an assistant and serve the gopis. You can become assistant to the cowherd boys. You can become, engaged in devotional service that's spontaneous, and you become an associate of those who are the Ragatmika devotees. So we're going to be hearing about and meditating on the eternal associate cowherd boys and what they do with Krishna. And what he does, according to each and every individual, we're going to hear further and further as we go along. He's experiencing rasa, and he wants to stimulate their experience of rasa. So he's exchanging. This question came up in question and answer session from somebody who was hearing these classes. Not only Krishna experiences prema, the devotee experiences prema of Krishna, but Krishna experiences prema also. It's like it's an exchange of love, and the exchange is rasa. Rasa means, in one sense, it means taste. Prabhupada's translation in Nectar of Devotion is mellow, or another is juice. It's just like there's each juice or each foodstuff has a particular rasa. And then, this amongst fruits, there's different tastes of fruits. Some this, some that, some the other. So there's, how many tastes are there? There's unlimited. So because Krishna is the source of everything, therefore he is everything. Rasa Vaisaha. And he comes, and we'll hear in the course of this Leela, chapter 12, he's engaging in many, many ways with his particularly the cowherd boys, because that's the childhood pastime that we heard, chapter 11. Now it's continuing, chapter 12. Remember, he's 4 years, 4 months. he has mother and has a father, and the chapter 13, he's going to engage with the parents of his cowherd boyfriends, because they also want to have loving exchange with Krishna like a parent, so he reciprocates. The cows want to have a loving relationship with Krishna like they do with their calves, so he becomes their calf. And each mother, each father, each cow, each bull, they're different. So Krishna expands himself exactly according to their liking, because he is rasa. And because he is rasa, it's like, a glove jamun. You like glove jamuns? Huh? Do we have glove jamuns today? We'll figure out how we can get you a glove jamun sometime. But glove jamuns are juicy. And even when you just bite into a glove jamun, it just like squirts juice all over the place. Sometimes not just in your mouth, sometimes all over the place. Because glove jamuns are juicy. And Krishna is also juicy. He's rasa. So interaction with he who is rasa. And that's what Krishna's pastimes, in addition to those three purposes mentioned in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. And there's no limit to the purposes, because Krishna is very clever. He's doing many, many things at the same time. There's some different names. This is compiled by one of our acharyas, where names of Krishna based upon the Aghasura pastime are found. Krishna, the enemy of the Aghasura demon. Agha Vivitsaha. Vidvisaha. Agha Ripo. The enemy of the Agha demon. This is from Sukha Saristava by Krishnadas Kaviraj. Very nice book. Another reference from the same author, Aghare, Krishna, the enemy of the demon Agha. Agha Damana, Namastaka, one of our different namastakas, naming Krishna as the destroyer of Aghasura. And another scriptural reference, Aghabit, destroyer of sin, means he also is the destroyer of Aghasura. In chapter 14, what's chapter 14? Chapter 14 is Brahma's prayers. After the Brahma Vimohan Lila, he offers prayers to Krishna, chapter 14. One of his prayers, towards the very end of his prayers. Any person who hears or chants these pastimes of Lord Murari, performed with his cowherd friends, the killing of Aghasura, the taking of lunch on the forest grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms with Brahma Vimohan Lila, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma, which is chapter 14, is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires. Isn't that a nice benediction? Hear or chant. Another very nice reference. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him, are the transcendental subject matters, are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. So I hope you brought with you some spiritual desires, because our intention here is to help fulfill those desires. There's an embedded recording, and I hope the technology works, because sometimes it doesn't. This is Rupa Goswami's Stavamala, prayers in a string, and it's going to be recited twice. There's a little pause after each line, then it's recited the second time. So you can hear the devotee singing, and then you can respond if you like to respond.
Prachinanam bhajanam atulam dushkaram shungato me.
Pause.
Prachinanam bhajanam atulam dushkaram shungato me. Naivyasena jvalati hrudayam bhaktileshalasasya. नैर्यासेन ज्वलति हृदयं भक्तिलेशालसस्य विश्वदृचिम् अगहरं तव कर्ण्यकारुण्यवीचिम् विश्वदृचिम् अगहरं तव कर्ण्यकारुण्यवीचिम् आशाबिन्दुक्षितम् इदम् उपेत्यन्तरे हन्तशैत्यम्
Pause.
आशाबिन्दुक्षितम् इदम् उपेत्यन्तरे हन्तशैत्यम्.
I am very weak, Rupa Goswami, praying. I am very weak and lazy to do even the smallest devotional service. So, when I hear of the peerless and difficult to perform services performed by the great devotees in ancient times, my heart breaks, my heart burns with despair, humility. O Lord, O killer of Aghasura, when I hear that your waves of mercy splash everywhere from the demigod Brahma down to the most insignificant creature, then my heart becomes sprinkled with a cooling drop of hope. Humility followed by hope or faith or confidence that Krishna is merciful, karuna, very compassionate. That's my hope. And similarly, Raghunath Das Goswami has offered a very nice prayer. Starts with Aghasura. May very dear and fragrant Radhakund, where Krishna, the enemy of Agha, yearning to attain the merciful sidelong glance of Sri Radha, eagerly and diligently bathes and renders service, that be my shelter. So for his Stavamala. So, as we know, Raghunath Das Goswami was a profound lover of Radhakund, Govardhan Hill, and all of Krishna's associates. And this is a very nice prayer indicating that very same mood, one of his prayers. So now we're ready for chapter 12. Here's the first verse of chapter 12. O king, one day, Krishna decided to take his breakfast as a picnic in the forest. Having risen early in the morning, he blew his bugle made of horn and woke all the cowherd boys and calves with its beautiful sound. Then Krishna and the boys, keeping their respective groups of calves before them, proceeded from Vrajabhumi to the forest. So in chapter 11, he started herding the calves, and now he's herding the calves, still herding the calves. And there's two important features of this first verse, or the beginning of this chapter. One was that there was a procedure that was always followed, and there's lengthy descriptions of that procedure, of Mother Yasoda waking Krishna, and then, as mothers might do with a little boy, 4-year-old boy, make sure he takes his bath properly, and after he takes his bath properly, make sure he dresses properly, and after he dresses properly, ornament him properly, and after ornamenting properly, she prepares breakfast, and she feeds him his breakfast, and then decorates him with his tilak, and this, and that, and the other. And there's pages and pages of Krishna's. It's time for Krishna to go and be with the cowherd boys, and he takes a couple of steps, and Mother Yasoda stops him. She wants to adjust his dhoti or adjust his turban or make sure he has his flute and put his peacock feather in the proper position. And she does it again and again and again. Mother, I have to go now. Because she doesn't want to let him go. She wants to be with him, but he's got to go. So finally he gets to go. So that was the routine, but in this particular morning, he made a request. And she said yes. Instead of having breakfast at home, please make breakfast and we'll put it in a little lunch bag. I can take it with me. So she did. That was one. Now it's not in the first verse, but it's coming up shortly. The second unique feature was Balaram wasn't there. And we'll hear from our acharyas different reasons why Balaram wasn't there, but it's an important part of the Leela. So Krishna ensured that Balaram wasn't there. Because when the Aghasura demon tries to swallow all the cowherd boys and Krishna, Balaram can't be there because Balaram can just KO the guy and, the pastime is spoiled. So Balaram wasn't there. One day, Kvachit, Krishna went out desiring to take a meal in the forest. Vishwanath writes, only Krishna's name is mentioned, indicating that Rohini, by force, kept Balaram at home in order to bathe him and perform auspicious rites on his birthday. So that's one acharya saying it was his birthday. So he wasn't there because she wanted to do birthday things. Another acharya. One time, waking up very early in the morning, the brother of Balaram, the sole protector of the universe, developed a desire, by chance, today we should have a morning meal in the forest. This is from Gopal Champu. Finishing his morning duties, he asked his mother to allow this. Pleasing his mother by his actions, he went out with her permission. And with the sound of his buffalo horn, he woke up all his friends and Balaram. But Balaram couldn't go. Now those two fellows on either side, that's Snigdhakanta and Madhukanta. And for those of you not familiar with Gopal Champu, it's a book written by Jiva Goswami. It's one of his Bhagavatam commentaries. And it's a dialogue between two associates, two brahmanas, of the names Snigdhakanta, Madhukanta. One asks questions, the other gives answers. The question-answer format is followed. And in this way, all of Krishna's pastimes in Braja are retold by these two at question-answer method. Continuing Gopal Champu, going quickly and sitting at the crossroad, waiting for his friends. For a few moments, he looked around. Jiva Goswami in another place. Though Balaram desired to go, on hearing the sound of the horn, and had heard of the plans from Krishna, his mother made him perform ceremonies for safety at home on the instructions of astrologers. So it wasn't his birthday, according to this commentator or commentary. Astrologers were recommending protection rituals. This was the main reason for him not being present there. The servant related the message spoken by Balaram. Oh, my brother Krishna, though I want to play with you, something has suddenly come up to prevent me. Of course, it's Krishna's plan that something came up. Balaram continued. This is Gopal Champu. My maternal uncle, this is a third explanation. My maternal uncle of the Puru dynasty has come to see me on some surprising business. He remains here, fixed like a tree in the room. I know that you got up early with a special desire. Please fulfill your desire for pastimes. If some obstacle arises at the beginning of a new activity, it will prevent the action from bearing fruit. So you have a plan. I don't want to mess up the plan because it would spoil the plan. 3 different reasons. Now comes the Leela Shakti language. Jiva Goswami writes, the influence of Leela Shakti to produce Balaram's absence in the pastimes was secondary, since Krishna's main reason for going was the picnic, whereas the killing of Aghasura and Brahma's bewilderment was incidental. Now what does that mean? Rasa. That's what it means. Krishna wanted foremost to have the loving exchange of having lunch with the cowherd boys. And that's a particular enjoyment, because otherwise he's home with mom having his breakfast. Not the same. So he wanted. So that is, according to Jiva Goswami, that's foremost. Now comes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. We hear a lot about Jiva Leela Shakti from him. This was the first time Krishna desired to do this, eating breakfast in the forest. Previously it was mentioned that he took breakfast and went to the forest. In this verse, it says, one day he desired to eat in the forest. After taking off his night clothing, washing his face, and dressing in attractive clothing, he quickly rose to his feet, left the house, and woke up the other boys. Jiva Goswami comments, the excellence of Krishna's manifested pastimes in Vrindavan are of many types. Some show excellence of Aishwarya. For example, this painting, Krishna showing Brahma that he is the Lord of millions of universes. And the form of rasa, of eternity knowledge and infinite bliss. Krishna is the source of all of that. So that's the Aishwarya feature of the Lord. Sham showed his compassion, the compassion of giving the position of a nurse in the spiritual world to, of all people, Putana. Nice painting. In the background, there's Putana taking the form of the goddess of fortune in beauty, and then in the background is that evil-looking creature, Putana. But a manifestation of Krishna's compassion. And here's a scriptural reference from, this is a very celebrated verse. It's worth hearing it again and again and again because it's repeated again and again and again by our acharyas. So we'll recite it, maybe we'll recite it twice. It's so nice. Aho bakiyam stanakalakotam jingang lebe katim dar chucham teryantam kambadayulam saranam prapadye. The verse is often referred to just by these first three lines, or first three words. Aho baki stana kala kutam. Aho baki yam stana kala kutam. Or just ahom baki yam. The baki indicates Putana. It indicates Putana because Putana was the sister of Baka. Therefore, Baki, the feminine. Baka's sister was Baki. Aho Bakiyam Stana Kalakutam. Oh, evil. The context of this verse, it's nice. The context of this verse is the speaker is Uddhava. Uddhava is speaking this verse to Vidura. In Canto 3, we find Vidura is on pilgrimage. Why is he on pilgrimage? Because, going back to Mahabharata, Vidura wanted to correct his nephew, his brother's son, but Duryodhana was incorrigible. And he tried, and he tried, and he tried, and he tried, and he was unsuccessful. And finally, when it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, he just walked from the royal assembly and went on pilgrimage. He could have gone straight to where Krishna was. That was a possibility. He could have gone straight to Krishna, but he didn't. He didn't because he felt, I'm too contaminated from this unholy association here in Hastinapur. I need to purify myself. So he chose going on pilgrimage to all the holy places, and that's what he did. And he went first north, then he went south, and all the way around to the southern tip, and came up the west side of India, various holy places. And he even went as far as Dwarka. And when he reached Dwarka, he heard that Krishna's pastimes had ended by the time he reached there. The Prabhas conflagration had taken place. So he knew Krishna's gone, the whole Yadu dynasty is gone, the calamity, catastrophe, and he knew it. He was very heavy in heart because he was a lover of Krishna. But he continued in his purification pilgrimage, and when he made his way to Vrindavan, in a forest in Vrindavan, guess what? Uddhava! Like, what are you doing here in the forest of Vrindavan? But he didn't say that. He was so happy. And when you see Uddhava, he looks just like Krishna. He reminds you of Krishna. He was a constant companion of Krishna. He was very dear to Krishna. So he started asking about Krishna. Although he knew Krishna had departed, he didn't want to tell Uddhava. It's, don't be the bearer of bad news. He didn't want to say. So instead he just asked, oh, how is Krishna? How are Balarama? How is Ugrasena? How is this one? How's that one? He went down the whole list. Because you see Uddhava and you remember Krishna. And Uddhava became silent. Not only he became silent, he went into internal trance. He lost external consciousness. So absorbed in thought of Krishna. But because there's Uncle Vidura, who is his senior, and in Vedic culture you honor seniors. And so he wanted to serve him by responding. And so he struggled and struggled and struggled. And this is the first verse that he spoke. Very important verse. The mood is very important mood. The message is a very important message. I'll just read the translation. The question is, how is Krishna and Balaram? And here's his answer. Oh, evil Putana, who offered her poisonous breast to Krishna to drink with the intention of killing him, attained the position of a nurse as Ambika Kalimba in Goloka. That's not part of the Sanskrit, but that's what happened. In the spiritual world, who else is so merciful? I surrender to him. That's the merciful nature of Krishna. So going back to the topic is Krishna manifests different moods or different features of him because he's everything. And so within everything, the source of everything is everything. So some of his pastimes are his Aishwarya, some of his Karunya, some of it is sweetness. Again, this is just a commentary where here chapter 8 is being referred to. Chapter 8 is the childhood pastime of Balakrishna. When Krishna and Balaram, with the strength of their legs, crawled in the muddy places created in Braja by cow dung and cow urines, their crawling resembled the crawling of serpents, and the sound of their ankle bells was very charming. Very much pleased by the sound of other people's ankle bells, they used to follow these people as if going to their mothers. But when they saw that these were other people, they became afraid and returned to their real mothers, Yashoda and Rohini. An example of the sweetness of Krishna's childhood pastimes. And more sweetness, Krishna is stealing butter. Same chapter 8 from Canto 10. As a child, Hari was stealing butter. He noticed his own reflection in a nearby jeweled column. Thinking that this to be another boy, he became frightened and begged, "You're my friend. I will share this butter with you. Please don't tell on me. Don't tell on me." May child Hari protect you all. Padyavali, the verse by Rupa Goswami. Sweetness, pastime. Or feeding monkeys, same chapter 8 of Canto 10. Our dear friend Yashoda, your son, sometimes comes to our houses before the milking of the cows and releases the calves. And when the master of the house becomes angry, your son merely smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them. And when the monkeys have their bellies so full they won't take any more, he breaks the pots. Now that's sweetness, right? And more sweetness and many more pastimes are identified. Krishna desiring, this is chapter 12. This is a sweetness example given by our acharyas right from this very chapter. Desiring to have lunch with the cowherd boys. At that time, hundreds and thousands of cowherd boys came out of their respective homes in Brajabhumi, hundreds and thousands, that's a lot of cowherd boys, and joined Krishna, keeping before them their hundreds and thousands of groups of calves. The boys were very beautiful, and they were equipped with lunch bags, bugles, flutes, and sticks from controlling the calves. Tens of thousands of cowherd boys. And that's the cowherd boys, according to the commentary. Krishna has asankhya calves. Do you remember this topic? Too many to count. Good for you. You were paying attention. What does sankhya mean? Count. Yeah, and asankhya means too many to count. That's how many calves he had. The boys and calves together could not be counted. Then there's a document that you send me a little text message, and I'll send you the document that explains this is not exaggeration. Okay? The area of Vrindavan, 16 kroshas, or 2 miles, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, because the Dham is unlimited. So that which is unlimited can contain unlimited anything. Even a small portion of the holy Dham is sufficient to accommodate billions of universes, each measuring 50 million miles in diameter. Now that doesn't mathematically doesn't work. It's a contradiction. But with the Dham, it's not a contradiction because the Dham is not just some piece of land. It's unlimited. And it's important in Krishna's pastimes to understand the unlimitedness of the unlimited. So the Dham, his devotees, the calves, everything. Although there's numbers given, it can't be calculated by mundane examples. Here's Jiva Goswami and the Rasa Leela. 1 billion gopis gathered at the place of the Rasa dance. Such places exist by the inconceivable power of the Lord. The Dham is unlimited, and everything is unlimited. So we can describe it as if it's of this world, but it's not of this world. So Krishna has a form, but it's not a material form. And Krishna has associates, but they're not material associates. It's not material. We should remember, we're hearing that which is not material through spiritual sound. Jiva Goswami quotes Brihat Bhagavatamrita. There is no question of impediments, obstacles, or limitations because the Lord, his associates, and his holy Dham have inconceivable power. So we haven't gotten very far in chapter 12, but we're getting some Krishna Tattva understandings. The unlimitedness of the unlimited. And so because he has Achintya Shakti, he can do anything, no problema, as they say in Spanish. But you don't have Spanish up here so much. In New York, there's lots of Spanish. No problema. Verse number 3. Along with the cowherd boys and their own groups of calves, Krishna came with an unlimited number of calves assembled. Then all the boys began to sport in the forest in a greatly playful spirit. So this is the mood. They're yes and no. Are they herding calves? Yes and no. The real thing is the calves are attached to Krishna. They just tag along. Wherever Krishna goes, they go. They're just playing and playing and playing, and that's the main activity. And then the calves just tag along. Asankhataha. This is his way of keeping track of all the calves. He holds a string of jewels, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and counts the cows, but his calves. He calls out the names of the leaders of the groups using his flute. He counts the group of cows or calves using different colored beads. Though the number of cows is unlimited, he counts the group leaders, or he shows his skill by counting them all, for the Lord is more intelligent than the most intelligent. Prabhupada writes in his purport, because this is one of the final chapters that Prabhupada personally wrote the commentary to. Such unlimited numbers are indicated here by the word asankyatai. Krishna is unlimited. His potency is unlimited. His cows and calves are unlimited. And his space is unlimited. If we study Krishna's potency with our limited knowledge, that potency will never be possible to understand. So here's a Rupa Goswami verse. You're all familiar. Let's say it together. Atak Shri Krishna Namadi Na Bhavet Grayam Indriyai Sevan Mukhi Jivadau Swayameva Svaratyada. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name form qualities and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified, and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. So the unlimitedness can be accessed through purified senses, purified mind, and the primary means is the chanting of the holy name and taking Krishna Prasadam. So one of them is easy for us, and the other one is not as easy for us. But they're meant to do both. Okay. Well, guess what? That's the end of part 1. We covered a lot of territory. We covered 3 verses, but a lot of territory, just to set the boundaries or the stage for the pastime that's going to unfold. You know, Aghasura comes on the scene. But he comes on the scene, if we've heard carefully, and there's going to be the next part and the next part, a very playful mood. For incidental, you know, it's a big build-up with the title of the chapter is the Aghasura is killed, but it's incidental. It's important, but it's incidental in comparison to having lunch with the cowherd boys, and is reciprocating loving dealings with them, each according to their nature. Now, I included a slide about Bhadra Purnima, and there's a reason why. It's coming up reasonably soon, and it's very important for the lovers of Srimad Bhagavatam to receive and to give Srimad Bhagavatam. Receive by oral reception and by reading. There's very easy to read Srimad Bhagavatam yourself or in reading groups or however you like to do it. And then in addition to receiving, giving to others. And it's specifically right within Srimad Bhagavatam, there's this nice verse you're all very familiar on the Purnima day, Bhadra Purnima day. It's a very special opportunity or blessing or phala for one who gives Srimad Bhagavatam to others on that day. So you're given on any day and it's auspicious. I don't know what the plan is or the focus is, but there are some temples that are very focused on Srimad Bhagavatam, sets of Srimad Bhagavatam being distributed. How is that? Is there somebody here in the room that has that responsibility, who wants to say something about Srimad Bhagavatam distribution for Bhadra Purnima?
We have somebody in our congregation, or a number of people that do try to do that service. Right now, that Prabhu is in India, Damodar Krishna Prabhu.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we do it, in our own humble way.
Okay, so we'll sometime during my visit, maybe he can be present. And for now, we'll just go rah, 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 go team, go. Receive and give. That's our life as Vaishnavas. We receive and give. We receive prasadam, we give prasadam. Loving exchange. Receive a gift, we give a gift. And one of the devotees in the room, I won't embarrass him, but what a gift we've been given. He was sharing with me just recently. What a gift we've been given without even really knowing what it was when we received it, but slowly appreciating and appreciating and appreciating, and purification and elevation, and the gift of love of God, the gift of Krishna Prema, just by saying yes and then acting in ways that the teachings of bhakti tell us how to progress from where we were to where we want to be, ideally. And what a gift to give to somebody. So, discussion time. There's a large assembly of devotees, and I don't know if you're able to hear me okay. You can hear me okay. Somebody didn't tell me to put the microphone closer to my mouth, because that's usually what they tell me to do, because then it makes it easier to hear. Yes? Hare Krishna. But if I have a hard time hearing you, I'll ask somebody that has less of a hard time hearing you, and then ask them to repeat the question. It has to do with age, and the faculty of hearing diminishes. Sorry to say, but that happens. Any comments or questions? Oh, assembled devotees. We'll get there. We'll get there. It's the final day, part 4. It's, deception. Yes.
Nature of the gopis. I mean, the transcendental nature of the cowherd boys and the gopis, they were actually here on the earth with Krishna.
Yeah.
And so I guess they were with him always,
Yes.
everywhere.
Yes.
Can you
There,
make a few
there,
comments?
okay. I'll say a little bit, not everything, because it's like your question is a big question. Starting point. There is a source of everything, and that source of everything is Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Within Krishna is everything. And sometimes that part of that everything is manifest. Sometimes, always, some portion of that everything is manifest in Goloka. And some portion of that everything is not manifest in Goloka. But when Krishna appears in Boma, his Boma Lila, he brings with him or manifests his eternal associates. And they have their pastimes of how they appear and how they disappear and how they do in between their activities. But they're eternal associates. Sometimes prakat, sometimes aprakat. Manifest, not manifest. Manifest, withdrawn. Then again, manifest. So yes, those eternal associates of Krishna that are of him, they're in him, they're not different, of the same Satchit Ananda Vigraha feature as him. They manifest by means that Krishna arranges, because he's the orchestrator of his Leela. And they participate with him, and he participates with them. And that was that slide, Rasovai Sahar. He appears for the purpose of reciprocating rasa with them. And it's a two-way rasa street. He experiences, and they experience. Here's a detail to help embellish your question. This is chapter 12, but in chapter 13, at the end of chapter 12, Aghasura is killed. And the demigods in the heavenly realm, they're observing all of this, and they shower flowers. Yay, wicked Aghasura is dead. They knew he was a terrible demon, and they celebrate, shower flowers. They have such a big festival, music, noise, prayers. Lord Brahma hears from his abode, which is above the heavenly realm. And he descends to what's all this racket going on? And when he comes, he sees and experiences the liberation of Aghasura. The liberation of Aghasura is, normally we don't see the soul. I'll get to the eternal associates of Krishna, but just a little embellishment first. This one doesn't see the soul. But if Krishna desires, one can see. So the soul of Aghasura leaves his body from the top of his head because he suffocates, and as light hovers in the sky, Krishna comes out of the body of Aghasura, and that soul merges in the body of Krishna. Brahma saw that event because he heard this big festival going on. Aghasura was killed. So Brahma, inspired by Krishna from within his heart, has a curiosity question. His curiosity question is there a limit to the power of Krishna? Curiosity, nothing wrong with curiosity, but what he does after that was a problem. Inspired by Krishna, he wanted to examine, is there a limit? And he experienced, there's no limit. Series of events. There was no limit. So, but part of that process was to test the limits. He wanted to see what Krishna would do if he, Brahma, kidnapped the calves and the cowherd boys. That's a boo-boo. It's a big one. It's an offense. He interfered with Krishna's pastimes. He stole Krishna's eternal associates. They're his eternal associates. At least that's what he thought he did. But I'm going to respond now specifically to your question about the eternal associates, cowherd boys. As soon as Brahma had that intention, Krishna knew, because he's all-knowing. So what did Krishna do? Three things. Listen carefully. Krishna summoned his Yogamaya potency, take the cowherd boys, my eternal associates, and conceal them. So that's what Yogamaya did. Didn't say where Yogamaya took them, but he concealed them, or she, Yogamaya, concealed the cowherd boys. Step 2. Yogamaya has a reflection or a counterpart, a shadow. And that's Durga or Maya Shakti. So Maya Shakti, by Krishna's indication, manifested identical forms of cowherd boys. Maya cowherd boys. It's right in the commentary. Maya cowherd boys. And that's who Brahma stole. He didn't steal the cowherd boy. He can't touch. Maya cowherd boys. And that's what he put in the cave. And calves, same thing. And then he put them to sleep. The commentary says, Brahma has material powers, but his material powers cannot touch Satchitananda Vigraha, cowherd boys. So it was the Maya cowherd boys that he put to sleep by his mystic powers, material, mystic power. And then for 1 year, the original cowherd boys were concealed by Yogamaya without a sense of passage of 1 year, without the sense of passage of time at all. And at the end of that 1 year, Yogamaya, by Krishna's indication, brought the cowherd boys back. This is chapter 13. We're ahead of ourselves, but it's a nice explanation of the relationship of the eternal cowherd boys. The eternal cowherd boys didn't have any idea that they had been separated from Krishna for a whole year. Rather, Krishna was sitting there with the same lump of yogurt when he went to look for the calves in his hand. Oh, Krishna, you're too much attached to us. Just don't worry, just have your lunch. They're just like instructing him, as if nothing happened. But then a third set of cowherd boys were manifest. What's that? There's the original that Yogamaya took. There's the Maha cowherd boys that were manifest, that Brahma kidnapped. And then Krishna manifested himself in exact replica of each of the calves and cowherd boys. So we have 3 sets of cowherd boys. But it wasn't cowherd boys, it was Krishna. And what was Krishna doing? It's clever. By one thing, he's achieving many things. Because Krishna knew the mothers and fathers, they had love for their children, but they had special love for Krishna. So he became their son for a whole year. That's not during this visit, maybe another visit, we'll go there, but the mothers didn't even recognize this wasn't my son. Krishna's very, very expert. It wasn't their son. Their son are under Yogamaya for a year. And so here's another one. Even Balaram, who was of course an eternal associate of Krishna, but even he didn't recognize. This is Krishna. It's not cowherd boys. This is Krishna. Yogamaya covered Balaram. Until towards the end of the year, Krishna pulled back the Yogamaya curtain. That's what's going on. Then he could recognize that he was patting Krishna on the back. Oh, you're so clever. So, eternal cowherd boys, same Satchit Ananda Vigraha forms, that the internal potency or Yogamaya agency can act upon as they can act upon Balaram, they can act upon the cowherd boys because they're his eternal associates under Krishna's influence of the internal potency. Always, never otherwise. And then Krishna can withdraw them, then uppercut, unmanifest pastimes. And gopis, same. They're eternal associates of Krishna. Now, in this particular situation, these are young girls. They're not Goloka age girls. They're little girls having loving exchange with Krishna, as little girls may have with little boys. But not, not lusty, but playful activities as the cowherd boys and cowherd girls with Krishna. But they had love for Krishna in a different way than the cowherd boys had love for Krishna, because they had a different rasa. But they're eternal. So they did this and that and the other thing, worshipping Katyayani. Katyayani is a name of Durga, but Katyayani is also a name of the internal potency. So they were worshipping the internal potency to have Krishna eventually become their husband. Because in Vedic culture, girls were married young, pre-puberty. So they knew who they were married to, although they didn't live with their husbands. They were married. They knew, that question is over. Prabhupada describes like this. So anyway, that's Vedic culture, and the little gopi girls were Krishna's eternal associates. And Krishna was engaging in loving exchange with them, because that's what Krishna came to do with his eternal associates. And then there are others who aren't his eternal associates, and he engaged in loving exchange with them according to their regard for him. It's a dance of love in different ways according to the one's regard for Krishna that he reciprocates. Exactly. And in interesting ways, sometimes indirect ways, sometimes direct ways, sometimes mysterious ways. But loving exchange with everyone. The birds and the river and the monkeys and you name it. The whole of Braj. It's his abode. And he has loving dealings with all of them. And they're eternally his. Of him and his. Loving dealings. And that's the pastimes that we're hearing. It's a nice window. Someone else? Yeah. You don't need a microphone, but we'll give you a microphone anyways. Do we have a microphone?
Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class. I had a question on how Krishna reciprocates with everyone at one time.
Oh, easy, piece of cake. If you're unlimited, you can do that. We're not unlimited. So we can reciprocate, a little bit with someone, or maybe a few someones. Just like you're a young girl. And, I have seen there are lots of people in this room that have a lot of affection for you. So you just smile. And people become happy seeing you smile. How that strikes their heart is different. Because of different relationship with you and regard for you. And you're just, a little girl. But then there's Krishna, who's not, little anything. He's the source of everything. So his presence, even if he apparently is doing nothing, his existence, his spiritual presence means everything to everybody. And they feel it. And, when he smiles, it's like, that's it. Okay?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have a question. How Krishna could take care of so many calves?
How could he?
How could he take many calves?
Why not? Let me ask you, is Krishna limited or unlimited? Okay, there's the answer to your question. Now, you couldn't because you're limited. But because you couldn't doesn't mean Krishna can't, because he's unlimited. You would probably mess up even with one calf. Unlimited. Yeah, your father has something.
Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful class. My question is, given the fact that the Bala Leela or the childhood pastimes happen in Bhauma Vrindavan,
Yes.
does it make Bhauma Vrindavan more dear to the devotees then?
Yes. You're intuitive. However, for those who are in Krishna's eternal association, our acharyas pray, Mama Jamani Jamanishwari Bhavatad Bhaktira. So they're not asking, I want to go to that nice place. I want to be with Krishna. And there's a sweetness that is manifest. It's within, because Krishna is all everything. But the pastimes are so sweet. It attracts the hearts and the minds. And that's one of the purposes, to attract the hearts and the minds of souls. And then different souls want different things because we're all different. But many have the desire, birth after birth. When Krishna appears, let me appear with Krishna and engage with Krishna. Okay, looks like we're done. Way in the back. One of our favorite devotees asking questions. I like your questions. I like her questions too.
Thank you so much. So in the beginning of the class, when you were talking about this concept of what existed before existed, and you brought up a verse of 10.8,
Yeah.
the translation of that verse says that in the second part, those who are wise, they perfectly engage in my with full heart. So it appears that one must strive to be wiser from who they are compared to their past. So I'm curious if you could shed some of your thoughts. It's an open-ended question. What are the few aspects in one's behavior, personality, or thought process where we should be consciously focusing upon so we are better than or wiser than who we are, because that will cleanse our heart and eventually help?
Well, yeah, that's very simple. Sound. Through hearing. Shravanam Kirtanam. By hearing. Srinvatasva Kata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hridyantaksto Yabhadrani Vidunoti Sritsatam. So the abhadras become cleansed just by the hearing. So forgetfulness is removed by hearing, and in its place comes remembrance. Oh. And it's not like information, it's reawakening of our original consciousness. Far more than information. It may start with information, but it's far more. So that's our main function. The how-to is the process of hearing. And then following hearing comes the other forms of devotional service, according to our nature and the association that we have we have different forms. Shravanam. Okay. We'll call it a day. And I think Jai Sachinanda at this point of time likes to make announcements.
Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming for today's program. His Holiness Rupapat Swami Maharaj ki jai. Mr. Bangir Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Gaur Premanandi Hare. So thank you all for coming. I want to thank all the devotees. So many devotees helped us in hosting this whole program, the first time in this location. So I want to express my deep-felt gratitude to all of you who came and those of you that also assisted in so many ways. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So what we'll do, I think now is prasadam time. So what we'd like to do is, if you can kindly form rows here. I think we have a long enough hallway that can occur. Then